What's up, dudes and dudettes to the internet? My name's Seth and we are back games more Trove, and today we're going to be talking about last week's developer live stream Q&A question thingamabob. Big shout out to Shirokuri because they always end up kind of summarizing the entirety. I'll put a link in the description to his original post, which ends up showing all of the questions that were asked to the developers and then all of the answers, which is a big help for me because I honestly don't have the time to catch all of the developers live streams. Sometimes when they're showing off new stuff, obviously, I'll check it all out, but for now, we've just got a lot of new information and hints and tricks about like new stuff that's coming out, which is quite exciting. So before we get started, be sure to hit that like button, makes the video show up in searches so everybody can hear all of this beautiful information. So Bomber Royale is going to be getting a bunch of changes, which sounds for the better. I really hope, again, I'm going to say this, I love Bomber Royale. I know there's lots of people that aren't really into it, but seriously, if you're in mic chat and you're playing it with friends, Bomber Royale is a hoot. Like, seriously. I'm playing it with Joe, I'm playing it with Mark, I'm playing it with Stratos, and sometimes randoms in my Discord and stuff, and it's so fun. I want more maps, I want more power-ups, I want more game modes, I want a team mode, I want custom maps, I want a version of Bomber Royale where you don't have any power-ups and it's just about playing through the level and trying to destroy each other in the environment. But anyways, what they say is coming is kill credit. So right now you have to kill someone with a bomb in order to get kill credit, but they're going to make it a bit more flexible, which sounds great, where if somebody falls or dies in lava and you've hit them recently, you'll get the kill credit if it's within a reasonable time. So that's cool that they ended up that they're going in that direction. I think that would be great. The EXP gain is going to be rebalanced, so players are going to be getting experience for kills and dealing damage, which will be added to the leaderboard. This is going to be the Bomber leaderboard, balanced more towards damage and kills than surviving and hiding in a corner. So just before we end up moving on to the next topic, guys, I don't know whether or not, like, I guess they're just talking about like actual experience points, in which case you're gonna want to grind Bomber Royale as much as you can right now, because it's probably the best experience in the entire game, just because you're getting like 60,000, 300,000, you're getting insane amounts of XP just by competing in Bomber Royale. But it seems like now they're going to change it so that it's based on kills and stuff like that, which I like the idea that it's based off of doing damage, because kills more often than not are usually stolen and it's not really calculated very well. Like you'll go through a Bomber Royale match and have almost everybody dead and there'll be like one guy with 2 kills, you know? So maybe that's got to do with the kill credit that they're going to end up fixing. And oh, this is so cool, guys, spectator mode. Yes! I hope it doesn't take them 50 years to end up adding this to the game, but community requested a spectator cam to watch or toggle between people left in the match. It's planned to be added as an option. Yes, please add that as soon as possible. So there's going to be trophies and achievements for level 50 in PvP. I don't know what that's about, but they're looking to allow Bomber Royale to count towards gaining the PvP like all of this stuff, so you'll end up getting the battle factor, which is altogether useless in this game, honestly, like the boxes, because all they end up giving you is a bunch of banners that you could only end up using in deathmatch and stuff. But it will be a way that you can get Sorrow Defeat, Glory of Victory, and the Warplane, which otherwise I'm pretty sure you can just end up buying for bomber tokens. So I don't really know why they want us to be able to do this, because the battle level doesn't actually give any mastery. If it gave mastery, that'd be cool, because then that would be a lot of incentive for people to end up playing through Bomber Royale, but I guess some people aren't really into it. But they want to keep the difficulty to get like the battle experience, which again, I don't really see the reason, because all of the items you can end up buying with battle tokens, unless they're going for the route of, oh, now you don't have to buy it with battle tokens, and again, none of it gives mastery. So anyways, now let's get to the normal questions and answers, because that was just a quick summary of some of the stuff that they're going to be changing with Bomber Royale, which is cool. Why do silver and gold eggs drop on the ground like loot when it's touched? So they've actually fixed this now, apparently, with some of the hot fixes that we've had, where they had to change the item in the game code from being a rare item, which apparently rare items just drop on the ground. I don't know why, but they've changed it so that now if you touch a silver or gold egg, it's just going to instantly go into your inventory rather than falling out of the map and stuff. Any plans to change how we get lesser crystal caches from helping critters? Thankfully, the developers say, yes, we will be changing that in 2 different ways. We're going to lower the ticks between, like, needed to fill the bar I like how they refer to it as ticks, which that's Minecraft terminology, not Trove terminology. Essentially, they're making it so that when you complete one of their little quests, it's going to fill their bar up a lot faster so that you don't have to sit there like an idiot and wait for them to give you the box, because otherwise, if you're too fast, you can leave them and then you won't end up actually getting the box. But then they also wanted to change, what did they say? They didn't say anything about, as well as giving the reward much faster. Yeah, they don't, that's not two different ways. That's one way, making the bar fill faster so they give the reward easier. Oh, I see. They mean throw down food on the ground, the bar is going to fill up really, really quick, and then also you're going to end up getting the item a lot faster. Now, I would hope that they end up giving us more crystal caches, because on the test server, we ended up getting quite a bit of crystal caches for helping the critters, and there's absolutely no incentive to do it right now. Like, there really isn't, because the sheer low amount that you end up actually getting from them, it's just like, oh, you get 5 or 1, like, which isn't going to give you anything. I mean, some people out there that are playing Geode and grinding it like kings are obviously going to do it, but I prioritize progression into the cave system rather than actually going for a bunch of caches that aren't going to give me anything. So will Luxian be coming out along with his line of Dragon Soul unlocks anytime soon? So Luxian has a mount. We've talked about this in almost all the Luxian videos. He has a mount, and the developers have actually hinted at, not necessarily in this live stream, they just say, if you're asking if there will be a Luxian mount eventually, yes, we already know that there is. I don't know why they're trying to hide it, but I've heard that he's going to end up actually selling souls of Luxian, like dragon souls, similar to the old way that we would end up getting dragons. So I'm assuming it's going to end up being the exact same as fragments. It's just going to be called souls instead of fragments, so it's going to make a little bit more sense roleplay wise. So this is interesting. Somebody actually asks, what about the Shadow Labyrinth project you guys announced months ago? Are you still working on it, or is it abandoned? So the developers say that it's not being abandoned or forgotten. Right now, though, we're focusing on U10, so there's no immediate progress to it. It's been abandoned. It is. We might end up seeing it show up in like a year or something like that. I mean, look at Hydra. The Hydra boss in Shadow Towers was a community voted project, and by the time it got into the game, the majority of people that ended up voting on it in the first place ended up quitting. And in that regard, because of the amount of time that it ended up taking for Hydra, if it takes them an absurd amount of time to end up putting the Shadow Labyrinth in, I would say that technically, yeah, they didn't end up abandoning it, but they did. They did. Like, if they're not working on it, clearly it's a project that's just on the back wire there, you know. But it doesn't really matter anyways. The only reason why I think that it's kind of cool that they ended up talking about that is we have heard hints about there being new Titan bosses coming to U10, which most likely U10's going to come out, and then maybe the update that's going to be the last update of the year is going to add those new Titan bosses. We don't know if it's going to be Shadow Tower, like a Shadow Tower equivalent on the Geode world, though. And I was kind of suspect to think that the maze was going to end up having a part to play, but it seems like that is not the case. Will U10 involve using Geode modules? Please let us know so we have time to work on them. So the developers say that combat in U10 will not use the Geode cave exploration modules. Now, they specifically are saying that it's not going to be using the Geode cave exploration modules, but they don't say that it's not going to end up using new modules that are most likely going to end up being related to U10, which they've dropped hints many times about the fact that U10 most likely is going to have some form of modules, and in the fact that a lot of the resources in the Geode area will end up giving you a leg up when U10 ends up coming out. They've said that before, so I don't know whether or not the new gems are going to be upgraded as normal gems, but then you're also going to be able to upgrade them through moduling or a similar mechanic or something to that effect. You know that Geode is going to end up being tied into U10 some way or another, and it is disappointing that they won't just tell us. I know the reason why they're not telling us. Obviously, they don't want to give us spoilers and stuff like that, and it's all just kind of like, in a lot of regards, whenever they end up talking about these things, then it ends up releasing and they completely change their mind or change the way that they're developing it, what have you. But I wish that they would give us a little bit of a hint so that we actually knew what we had to work towards, because of the fact that players, you know, are gonna have to most likely dedicate an absurd amount of time towards all this stuff. So will you have more bomb tomes with cool video effects, confetti bombs for example? Not on the radar, but it's a pretty sweet idea. I wish Bomber Royale would end up adding some other different bomb types. That would be really cool. With a quality of life update coming out soon, apparently this update's supposed to be coming out in August, that's their plans anyways, will they finally remove other players' names overlapping your character's marker on the map? Yes, finally we'll actually have our arrow actually showing up over other character names. They should have just added that a long time ago, honestly. And then can we get an answer for the retroactive club experience? It's been about 2 weeks now. There's been something where it didn't really calculate retroactively like club experience that we ended up getting, because they ended up lowering the total amount of club experience that you need in order to end up leveling up your club. So a lot of people that were already at the end game with their clubs were thinking that they were going to accumulate and end up getting all of that experience back, but essentially they say that it didn't end up going as expected. They're not sure right now, and it's just not going to end up happening, honestly speaking. I wouldn't expect it. That's just kind of what happens with Trove, is unfortunately we're kind of like beta testers in a lot of regards, and you know, it's like when you grind something up really quickly, like for example level 30. Remember back in the day, it was like atrociously unbalanced, and then they kind of ended up evening out the curve and taking off the total amount of experience that we ended up needing, and now new players have it much easier than we did back in the day, right? And then I also have another question. I know you said that meta matter was on the low end of acceptable, but can we please get a new source of the adventure reliquaries? The 2-hour guaranteed meta matter ones? Question mark. So they say, no, not at the moment. It's actually the intended thing that it's easier via the golden thread to get some advancements, and then it slows down later. They don't seem to understand the amount of difficulty that it requires in order to end up actually maxing out your modules. Like they're acting like they do, but they really have no idea. Like it's insane the amount of meta matter that you actually need. Like out of my video where I ended up unboxing like 500 greater caches, it was like I got like close to 200 meta matter. That barely scratched the surface to the amount that I ended up needing for like maxing out everything else. So I just ended up farming crystals like crazy, and it was ridiculous. So any plans for Bound Brilliance? So we've kind of talked about this in the past, but I don't know whether or not the developers either have absolutely no clue what's going on with Bound Brilliance. They don't seem to realize that it is unattainable in the game right now outside of tomes, but their solution is that they're going to end up having it on the power rank leaderboard for 5,000 power rank and up, and essentially from what I heard from Merc, it's going to be something like you can end up getting a total of 20 Bound Brilliance, I think, from the leaderboard. So maybe this was their plan all along, to end up making Bound Brilliance time-gated, because we know how much Trove loves time-gated content, which is disappointing because too many things are time-gated in this game, to the point where it's more forcing the player to play the game for long periods of time in order to end up getting to the end game, as opposed to, you know, just being rewarded for your efforts of actually playing the game and being able to actually grind all this stuff. So if you didn't end up capitalizing on all the boons that we ended up getting through Luxian and the Lore Keeper egg, I guess you're just kind of out of luck, aren't you? So anyways, they also say, will you increase the chance of finding silver and gold eggs? Nope, they're not going to end up changing that, which is disappointing because the chances actually do suck. But that's just normal Trove RNG, honestly. Like, everything is really bad. It's like, if you have the option of just buying a mount outright, it's always better to go that route rather than relying on RNG. But as far as the Geode stuff and the gold and silver eggs, I do think that they could end up making them tradable at the least, while keeping the same amount of rarity, because then at least they would end up having, you know, a function. Because otherwise, one of the things that they're a little bit too addicted to in the more recent updates is the fact that players are going to have to get each individual item themselves through random luck chance, which potentially ends up meaning you could never end up getting it. Like, for example, I've gotten nothing but like over 100 bronze eggs in a run, and I didn't end up getting any more gold or silver eggs. I got 1 silver egg when I was doing a live stream, and that was just dumb luck. And then on 50 of those bronze eggs, I used lodestars. 50 of them. and I didn't get a single new companion, let alone a rare one in the first place. So it just to throw those numbers out there, and that's why I completely gave up on the last 2 companions that I need. And that's the whole problem. That's what most people are going to do. If they're just going to give up, because it's obviously something that is just not attainable in a reasonable amount of time. So that's where they got to do something with the Geode update, because otherwise they're asking us to play it for an absurd amount of time compared to all of the other content of the game, which is, in my opinion, a lot funner. Don't get me wrong, I still love the Geode update. I just think that it does need some tweaking, especially considering the content in it doesn't last very long. Any chance you will consider changing Saturday's daily bonus, as currently the level 50 PvP trophy is unobtainable? Answer as above. Oh, I see. So that's why they're going to end up adding the PvP stuff, because we've got XP Day, which gives us arena win experience. Yeah, so that means they weren't necessarily talking about experience from, like, for your character and class level. I guess they were just talking about experience for completing Bummer Royale towards all of that stuff, right? What is the quality of life update? It's called the improvement update. Should be early August. It will bring a bunch of improvements and optimizations, including many the community has discussed on their forums. So that's pretty cool. When can we expect a rebalance of crafting benches, drop chance of certain chest materials, or the drop amounts in Geode? So they're continuing to monitor data and feedback rather than, you know, actually doing something about it, because enough people are complaining about it. Nothing that requires an urgent change, but any change made, you may see around the same time that the U10 update is coming around. So if they're going to change anything with the Geode and rebalance it, we're not going to see it until, you know, until the fall with the U10 update. So keep that in mind. Where's Ermelot the Unforgiving? So Ermelot was going to end up being a dragon, where so long as you were subscribed to their mailing list, you were going to actually just have access to that dragon in your inventory. It was just going to be in your game. But there came some complications with that, in that they couldn't figure out for the life of them how to make it so that if you unsubscribed from their mail list, you would actually have that mount removed from the game. Personally, you know, it's like, I understand what they're going for, but that's kind of like a forced way of keeping people involved with their mailing list, rather than it just incentivizing us to start their mailing list and then, you know, actually get some information that's worthwhile. Because honestly speaking, like, I'm on the Trove mailing list, and you barely ever end up getting any information except when a new update ends up coming out, and even then they don't really do a very good job hyping up the new updates, which I guess that's what I'm here for, so it honestly doesn't matter anyways. But they say that there's no promises for him yet. They just need a bit more work in order to get him active, so we will end up getting it eventually. Will there ever be a boat/sea related update like enemy ships? So they say there's no current plans. The main focus is U10 combat on the surface of Geode, and the rest of the Geode arc ends conclusion. So they're going to end up having that big final Titan boss battle at the end of the year, right? And I think it's funny because there actually was a random boat dungeon that they ended up developing. They showed it once in a live stream where you actually had to shoot cannonballs at a dungeon in order to defeat it or something like that. It was really weird. Nobody liked it, and we've never heard anything back about it. Can you look into allowing us to invite people into the Geode caves? So they say that they're going to look into it. There are reasons that they have to be careful about it, like exploits where players could invite players further down in the caves than they should. I don't see how that's a problem, because shouldn't you just be invited to like a tier 5, and if you don't have the gas, you're just gonna die? Isn't that the point? But maybe that's not how it works as far as the code is concerned, because maybe the game has to register that you've gone to the deeper tier. But I do think that they should either not only just have invites into deeper caves, but they should most definitely have it so that you can just end up skipping to the later tiers, because having to travel like roughly 4 or 5 minutes every single time you want to get to tier 5, that's what mostly gets old about the Geode update, dude. Why are golden veiled dragon fragments in the golden ticket chests? And they just say that they don't have an answer for that. Will you add more story to the game? Yes, we've added more story with the Geode, not super yeah, it is super basic. It started with the event of making the ship and going through the golden thread, learning about Geode. No, not really. And then they say that the planet has an arc to it, what you're fighting against and why you are there. The final part is the resolution of solving the conflict. Honestly speaking, nobody really cares. Trove doesn't really have that any lore. I was gonna say not that much lore, but it doesn't really have any lore. Will Will there ever be a better gear rank than Stellar? We already know that there's going to be Astral gear, which is what we've been dubbing it. But when U10 comes out, there is going to be a next tier of gear. Yes, for sure. Can we explore the rest of the Geode planet? So people are constantly asking this because the devs constantly keep saying, Geode planet this, Geode planet that. U10 is going to end up being the surface of Geode. If we end up heading over into the Geode section right here, and there's that big barrier that's kind of being around the area, right? That barrier is going to end up coming down when the U10 update ends up hitting, and we are quite simply put going to go out into this world and be able to complete dungeons and the like and stuff like that. So like that right there. So I think that it is cool that they're kind of going to be going the route of having a hub area in which you can end up going into dungeons. But hopefully we're going to see something a little bit more refined here, maybe dungeon respawning or something. Because, pardon me, water went down the wrong tube. Because otherwise, every time you go into the Geode area, you're just going to look on the map and everything's going to be dead, you know? So anyways, then will more Bomber Rail maps be added? They've actually been testing out a couple of them right now, so hopefully those get added soon. Will the new gem work with our current gems? Will it be an Earth gem? So they say not ready to talk about it yet, but there will be new gem types. So again, this kind of drops hints at, is it going to end up being a new gem element? Or is it also simultaneously going to end up being a new gem type altogether that either is going to end up working the same as the current gems do, or is it going to act as a module, in which case we're going to have to upgrade it with items we either find out in U10 or we just end up finding, you know, in the Geode caves. Not entirely sure yet. I'm kind of excited to see. Obviously, they're going to give us more stats and power rank, and we're going to be able to augment them. I'm sure of that, because of course that means them generating more money because of all of the, you know, gem dust and everything like that. But time will tell. We'll just have to wait and see. I don't think it is going to end up being an Earth gem. Maybe, possibly just a green gem, which would be hilarious because Earth gems were actually in the game's code back when the Mantle of Power update was first coming out, and then they ended up scrapping them. So if they just kind of recycle it, that'd be pretty funny. Will you look at adding back the Sun and Moon auras? Yes, we will look into it. Not sure what we're going to do with that right now. I'll give you a tip right here, right now, devs. Add the pack, the Mantle of Power pack, back to the store so that people can just buy it to get the Sun Moon aura. Problem solved. Any plans on integrating battle factor reward system into Bomber Royale? So they say no plans for that, but it's a good question we'll look into. Wait a minute, what are they talking about? Battle factor reward system? They specifically were saying about PvP XP. What is that if not going to end up being the battle factor right here? Unless they're saying that you're going to end up getting this XP, but you're not going to necessarily get these boxes passively. I don't know, man. That's kind of weird now. Now I'm confused. And then finally, last but not least, will the Godzilla pack return back for Halloween? Yes, it will most definitely end up returning for the Shadows Eve event. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Very much appreciate it. This video was a little bit longer than I expected, but there was quite a few really exciting things to end up actually talking about. Also, I guess I should mention this Vanguard costume. Unfortunately, it's not in game. It's my favorite Vanguard costume. I wish it would end up getting added to the game, but it's a mod and it fits with this Phoenix absolutely perfectly. But thank you for watching. Very much appreciate it. Don't forget to like, sub, and hit that notification bell so you can get notified anytime I put up videos. Putting them up every day. And then otherwise, if you want to support me, you can always sponsor the YouTube channel for a monthly fee or check links down below and buy some of my merch. As well as if you don't have any money, but you still want to go the extra mile of supporting me, you can check out the links in the description to Gawkbox as well as Solidarity app. If you access those through your phone, it quite literally, for an example, is going to tell you, download and play this phone game for 2 minutes. We'll give you $5 that you can then donate to your content creator. How cool is that? Thank you very much, though, guys. Very much appreciate you watching. Sayonara and stay epic.